If you're listening to this and you've ever thought, they wouldn't go that far, pause. That sentence is how you hand someone a map of your limits. I said it for months, right up until I realized the map was already marked by someone else's handwriting. I met them the boring way, mutual friends, a bar with sticky tables, laughter that felt like relief. I don't want to romanticize it. The beginning is always ordinary. That's why it works. The relationship didn't end with a screaming match or a slammed door. It ended with a slow, careful exit on my part, like walking away from a sleeping animal. I didn't want to provoke. I wanted to disappear gently. I did everything people recommend. I blocked. I unfollowed. I changed my routine. I asked friends not to share my location and photos. I kept my responses short when we had to coordinate returning stuff. I thought I was being smart. What I didn't understand was that being smart in the obvious ways can make you careless in the invisible ones. The first strange thing happened at work. I have a job where you have to badge in. The building is modern, glass and steel, all the safety signs written in friendly fonts. The kind of place that smells like coffee and printer toner and people pretending they're fine. One morning, I got an email from IT with the subject line, Badge Activity Report. I assumed it was a phishing test. The company likes to scare people into being careful, but the email had my name, my employee ID, and a simple list of timestamps. 0718, entry 0723, exit 0725, entry 0729, exit. It looked like I'd been pacing in and out of the building like a confused ghost. I wasn't even in the city at 7 a.m. I was on a train. I had a ticket, a receipt, a memory of looking at fog through dirty glass and feeling grateful for distance. I forwarded it to IT. They replied with a polite message about possible system errors. They'd look into it. That should have been the end. But later that day, as I stood at my desk, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Busy morning, that was all. I stared at it until my eyes started doing that thing where they make words feel unreal, like they're printed on water. I didn't respond. A minute later, in, out, in, out. Then, after a pause that felt like someone tapping their fingernails on a table, you always did that when you couldn't decide. I didn't have to ask who it was. My body knew before my mind finished the thought. My shoulders tightened. My stomach dropped. It was like stepping onto a stair that isn't there. I walked to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall like I was hiding from weather. I texted my ex from a different app I hadn't blocked yet. One short sentence, "Stop contacting me." The response came from the unknown number, not the app. "I'm not contacting you. I'm documenting you." That phrase lodged in my head in a way that made everything afterward feel inevitable. I went back to IT in person. I stood at their counter with my calm face on. I asked if anyone could clone a badge. The guy behind the desk shrugged. "In theory, yes, but you'd need access." Access? Like it was a technical problem. Like the word didn't also mean intimacy. I asked for a new badge. They issued one and deactivated the old one. I felt a little surge of relief, like I'd pushed a chess piece to safety. 2 days later, I got another report. This time it was my new badge. 0718, entry 0723, exit same times. I checked my phone. 0719. A text from the unknown number arrived as if on cue. "You're predictable." My hands went cold. I looked around the office. People were typing, sipping coffee, laughing at something on a screen. The normalcy was obscene, like bright colors in a nightmare. I did what people tell you not to do, I answered. How are you doing this? The reply came quickly. You gave me the habit. I just kept it. I blocked the number. Another number texted immediately. Blocking is for people who think this is about talking. I blocked that one. Another appeared. I turned off my phone. It vibrated anyway. Phantom buzzes, my nerves firing off like alarms that didn't need a signal anymore. That weekend, I stayed in. Curtains closed, door locked. I told myself if I made my world small enough, it would be easier to protect. At 7:18 a.m. on Monday, my doorbell rang. One ring, then silence. I didn't move. I held my breath and listened. No footsteps, no elevator, no voices in the hallway. At 7:23, the doorbell rang again. I waited until 7:29. Ring, like a pattern being demonstrated. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, staring at my peephole as if it might blink. Then, my work email pinged on my laptop. Badge activity report. This time the list included one extra line. 07 to 18, entry 07 to 23, exit 07 to 25, entry 07 to 29, exit 07:30. Visitor log, approved visitor log. My skin prickled. I clicked the company portal, hands shaking. The visitor system showed a scheduled guest for my department. Name, me. Not my full name, not my employee ID, just the word me in capital letters like a joke you only understand once it hurts. Under host, it listed my manager's name. I called my manager, I lied, and said someone had accidentally put in a visitor request under my name, and could she please decline it. My voice sounded normal, which made me feel insane. She paused. I didn't approve any visitor, she said, but the system shows my approval time-stamped at 7 to 29. I swallowed. Could you change your password? She laughed softly, like I was being cautious. Sure, I'll do it now. I wanted to tell her to run. I wanted to tell everyone. But saying it out loud made it more real, and I was still bargaining with reality, like it was a customer service rep. At 7:30, my phone, still off, lit up on the table. The screen showed a new notification, bright and cheerful. Your meeting has started. I didn't have a meeting. My laptop screen changed. A video call window opened by itself. No sound at first, just the sight of an empty conference room at work, viewed from a camera angle high in the corner. I stared at it, frozen. Then the audio clicked on. A room tone, air conditioning, a faint buzz of electricity, and a voice, low and familiar, not in my apartment, but in that conference room, speaking as if they were close to the microphone. I'm documenting you, the voice said. My throat went dry. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even close the laptop. My hands hovered, useless. The voice continued, calm. You always thought if you made a clean exit, the story would end. But you left footprints, habits, keys, permissions. I'm just walking where you already walked. The camera view shifted slightly, like someone had bumped the table. I saw a sleeve, a shoulder, nothing identifying, but enough to make my stomach twist. Then the voice said something that made my mind go blank with cold. I'm going to sit where you sit. The camera turned, slow and deliberate, and pointed at my desk in the office. My desk chair was pulled out. A second later, the badge report email refreshed on my laptop. 0731, seat occupied. That wasn't a real status. That wasn't a thing the system tracked. But there it was, as if the building itself had learned a new language. I slammed my laptop shut. I stood up so fast I got dizzy. I grabbed my keys and ran out of my apartment. In the hallway, the air smelled like someone's laundry, the normal smell of shared living. It should have comforted me. Instead, I noticed the elevator panel. The button for my floor was lit. The elevator doors were closed, as if someone had just pressed it. I took the stairs down, heart hammering. When I reached the lobby, the front desk receptionist looked up and smiled. "You're early," she said. I stared at her. "What?" She pointed at a clipboard. "Your visitors signed in already, just now." I walked over. The clipboard was on the counter, open to a page with neat handwriting. Time, 4:07:29. Name, me. And under signature, in a careful looped script I recognized from old birthday cards, there was a flourish like a tiny smile. My ex's handwriting, but the signature wasn't their name. It was mine. I backed away. The receptionist's smile faded. "Are you okay?" I couldn't answer. My mouth felt full of cotton. I left the building and stood on the sidewalk, surrounded by people and traffic and daylight, and I realized something that made me feel even more trapped than any locked door. They weren't trying to get into my home. They were trying to get into my identity, to prove, on paper, on camera, in logs, that they could move through my world as me. That's why they wouldn't go that far, is such a dangerous sentence. Because you're imagining a far place, a dramatic crime scene, a line that's clearly visible. But the farthest place someone can go is into the parts of your life that other people trust without question. That afternoon, I resigned. I didn't explain. I couldn't. I packed my desk with shaking hands while coworkers joked about quitting in style. When I got home, I found an envelope under my door. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper printed in plain font. Badge activity report, but the timestamps were different. 07:18, entry 07:23, exit 07:25, entry 07:29, exit 07:30. Meeting started 07:31. You arrived 07:32. You agreed. At the bottom, there was a line like a note. You can't block a record. I sat down on my living room floor, paper in my lap, and listened to the building around me. At exactly 7:18 that evening, my doorbell rang. One ring. Then silence. And from somewhere in the hallway, maybe close, maybe far, I heard the faintest sound of a badge reader. Beep,